Hey guys, welcome to another 78 F100 video. As you'll notice, I've got Dad here in the garage with me for the first time working on this truck.
And let's see, this is video number how many?
This is video number 3.
Who's been doing more work on the project? You got the Pontiac.
I have a 1-year-old.
You have the Pontiac Firebird, which is torn completely down. Already went and got another engine, tore that engine down, got everything apart on it and working non-stop on it. And this is number video 3 on this F100 and we're going to drop the fuel tank.
Remind me who puts out all your videos? Anyway, so this week's video, we have to drop the fuel tank, as Dad said, on this truck because I don't have any way to tell how much gas I have, and so I just got to shake the truck, listen for the slosh, and if it's good, I go. If it's not, then I have to go get gas. So we're going to replace that.
How much is in it?
About a quarter tank.
Okay.
So yeah, so I haven't been able to know how much gas is in this truck since I've owned it, so that's been kind of annoying. So hopefully replacing the fuel sending unit in this will fix it.
When we drop the tank, we're not sure if that's the problem, if the sending unit is the problem as far as you're not getting a reading on your gauge.
Right.
Could be something in the dash or whatever, but...
Everybody that I've talked to about this says it's the sending unit because that's the most common failure point on these.
Okay. But the tank looks like it's not the old original tank. So
right.
We're wondering if whoever dropped the old tank, got it out, put this new one in, if they just put the old sending unit in the new tank, or if the new sending unit they got is junk. So let's see here.
Let's get started. The nice thing about doing this today is that it was pouring down rain when I went and got Dad, so the underside of the truck and now the garage floor is all soaking wet, which always makes for good working conditions.
Yeah, but think how easy it is to slide under the truck.
Yeah, like Bo Duke. I'm just taking the clamps off of the vent and filler hoses here so we can start loosening stuff up.
Yeah, the socket, it's that size.
Well, I've already got it on.
I guess there's a chance this could be an original tank, but I doubt it.
I'm gonna lower myself down under here. Yeah.
Also, order about a drain pan in case there's fuel that comes out of that line.
No.
You pulled the bumper down.
I pulled the bumper down.
Okay, so you're gonna clamp that down. Try to get that clamp up here. Ugh. And then when the fuel all falls down, it'll be right in your face.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. All right. All right, so I'm going to take this screwdriver and tap this ring around and break it loose so we can get the sending unit out. Here's our ring. And you can tell our old fuel line has got a crack right here. So that needs to be replaced.
Well, there's no fuel filter, so that's probably...
Well, this one might be laying in there somewhere.
Cool.
So now what we're going to do is get back under there and hook all our wiring back up and raise this up and down and see if we get any reading on our fuel gauge. So I'll get under there and do that. We need to have some kind of jumper wire to go from our ground to where we can ground it to somewhere else on the truck. Okay, I'm going to lift it up. Ready?
Yeah.
It's all the way up.
Nothing.
Nothing? Okay, so get the new one.
No dice.
Nothing?
Are you holding it up?
Yep.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, so that's not the problem. So we've got our new sending unit here, and there's our old one, and we're going to just test to see if the new one functions. So we've got our own meter, our multi-tester with our own meter set on there. So you can see we've got a reading on the dial, and Andy's going to move that up like it's got fuel in it, so you can see how that raises and lowers, raises and lowers. So now we'll do the same thing on the old unit. Okay, same thing. So the old unit was fine, but we needed to get it out anyway. The old fuel line is cracked. That needed to be replaced, and plus the other lines were cracked and need to be replaced.
You can tell we have a filter here. That one's missing. It's actually floating around in the tank. I see it.
So we're going to try to fish it out. So some stuff needs to be done, but the problem with this gauge was not this. So we got to keep on searching and try to figure out what's going on.
All right, so I played the crane machine for about 20 minutes, and these are my prizes. Got all the pieces of the fuel filter for the old sending unit. Just kind of, I fished them out there with 2 screwdrivers, like chopsticks, thanks to Dad's suggestion and the fact that I don't have any cool tools here. But that's what it looks like when it's whole. That's what it looks like when it's destroyed.
To the tool fund to send Andy some actual tools.
It's really hurting his soul that I don't have an entire wall of stuff like he has at his house. So next you said we're going to do what now?
I'm going to get in there and check that what little wiring loom that goes to the fuel sending unit to make sure that there's not a wire that's like broken or something in the loom. I'm going to do a continuity test from one end to the other, make sure the wire is good. So we're going to do a continuity test on the wiring that goes into the fuel tank to the sending unit. So that's good.
Okay, well that's a relief. I didn't really feel like replacing it.
So we need to follow where the other end of this wire goes up to the dash. It's what color it is.
Green wire.
Yeah, and then we need it's green with the red stripe. I got a power probe here. I'm going to test, make sure our ground's good. So that's saying yes, got a good ground. And that's also grounded, this other one, but I'm going to send a ground signal to that. You're going to go turn on your power, and I'm going to ground this out, and you're going to see if your gauge moves. Here it comes. Your gauge moved?
No.
Okay. Okay, so after the test we did under there, we know that we don't have any issues back here on the truck as far as wire fuel gauge doesn't work. So we're going to go ahead and put this all back together, and then we'll go into the dash and try to figure out what's going on up there, see if we can find something. But we've got our new filter tubes installed. Not sure exactly where this goes because our other one didn't have it until we get in there and try to figure it out. So we've got our new gasket and seal put on the tank. We're going to put this in. It can only go in one way because it has these 2 tabs that have to fit in these slots right here. So we'll just snake that through there.
And I don't think we filmed this either, but the inside of the tank is like pristine.
Okay, now we gotta get our ring put on. Get it started and start tapping it around. There's little stops on the ring there that tells you how far you can have to go right there. So that's it. So now it's ready to go back in.
Oh,
That's the
also,
fun part.
this tells us that this tank is probably original to the truck because this is a Canada truck. Kind of cool that the original tank is in this good a shape.
So now for the fun part, laying under there and getting junk in our eyes and holding it up and strapping it up and pushing that on all at the same time.
Then you got those sweet safety goggles on your head though.
I'm going to put them on my face.
So this is what you do whenever you only have one vehicle at home and you're working on it and you need parts. Parts run.
hand in hand, bring it. Garage where time stands still, hands in sync, working by sheer will. Engine roars as we sweat and grind, memories made with each bolt we tied. Out in the garage where time stands still, hands in sync, working by sheer will. The story, the dream, together we're strong. F100's glad our bond lasts long. In this old truck we find our song. Under old cars is where we belong.
All right, so the tank is in.
After the Great War of 2024. No, I'm just kidding.
Finally.
That was
kind of a
really good
pain.
back in there.
It's kind of a pain to get it in there, but I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's in there. You got all the wires and everything are hooked back up, so we're getting ready to try to start it up.
There was a clamp on the top of the fuel tank that was compressed that we fixed when we took the whole thing down, and so it was significantly harder to get back in than it was to get out. So we think that's why.
So hopefully it might have to crank a little bit to get fuel back up to it. But okay, run. All right, since we've got everything underneath back where it's supposed to go, we're continuing trying to figure out what's going on with the fuel gauge. So Andy's going to start taking screws out of this little surround here. We got a screw here. Take these two knobs off, and then there's a screw like right over here. There's actually more than that, but whoever did it last time either didn't put the screws in or broke the back of the surround. So there's not a whole lot of. You get that one?
It's a 50-year-old truck. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. So we'll take that off, get the surround off, and see what's behind there. All right, so Andy's got all the surround out, and he went ahead and took out his sweet 1991 Pioneer.
If anyone's interested in a single DIN Pioneer head unit with a CD player and iPod functionality and
iPod, well, that's new.
USB.
USB, that's brand new. I might want that for the Triumph.
Uh-huh.
Now let's take the screws out that holds the little gauge cluster in. We'll see what's behind it. Maybe there's some way we can check out what's going on with that fuel gauge.
Okay, we are putting this thing back together, broken, so still no fuel gauge. This thing right here, the instrument cluster voltage regulator, is borked, we think. And then, in addition, of course, this digital cluster plastic thing.
Ancient antique one.
Yeah, that's pretty much the fail point on every single one of these gauge clusters on every truck and Bronco and everything else that was made in the same generation. And so what I'm going to have to do is order another one of these and another one of these, and I guess replace it. And then when I do that, I can clean up this thing, which is absolutely disgusting all over. So, and then I'll have to pull the dash back apart, but it only took like 5 minutes. So
I don't know if we showed it on here, but we did test the fuel gauge and the temp gauge, and they did work when we put power to them.
yeah, that's an important caveat. Both of the things worked.
The only thing that could be that we can't test is this.
Also, this thing came with my truck. There went something. Came with my truck, and then we replaced. This thing is always illuminated, and it's driving me crazy. I'm tired of seeing something that just says brakes always in my face, and so now I have Stetson seatbelts, which is better. So we replaced that little piece of plastic, but at some point in the near future, I'm going to have to tear the dash apart again and take all that back apart. And once I get that piece of plastic and that ICVS thing replaced. Okay, well, it has been a week since Dad and I dropped the fuel tank and replaced the sending unit. And that has allowed me to go online and order all the parts that I think, hopefully, will fix my gas gauge issue. So we have a voltage regulator that I got from Dennis Carpenter. It was the only place I saw that offered that. I've got a instrument panel circuit board printed. Mine was absolutely destroyed. All these copper pieces were worn off completely, and all the screws that were missing from my dash. So let's try to install those and see if that fixes it. Okay, so here is the back of the gauge cluster, and I believe that this and this are our problem children. So as you can tell, a lot of this is just corroded away. These you can't really replace. on the same unit because they snap in, and so like 98% of the time these just snap off and break. So what I'm going to try to do is just replace this entire thing, and hopefully that'll fix it. So we'll see. Okay, so it's not perfect, but this thing is a lot cleaner than what it was when I pulled it out of there. I don't know if they dug this thing out of a field. I don't know why there was so much dirt caked up under here. That's super weird, but you know. I think this is the original gate cluster though, because it's got the CA here. If that stands for Canada, that might mean something else, I don't know. That being said, I would normally take this thing entirely apart, but I don't want to like risk breaking these clips or this plastic thing since it's in really good shape. The whole purpose of this is just to test to see if the circuit board is actually the issue. And so if it fixes it, then I don't have to really worry about tearing it up again, because all this stuff will be new to take it all back apart. But I just want to go ahead and replace this thing, plug it back in, see if my fuel gauge works, and if it does, then later on down the road when I'm doing like the actual, like there's a bunch of wiring behind the dash that is all kinds of messed up. So when I'm taking that back down to do that, then I can take this thing all apart and clean it really good, like put it in a soapy water or something. But let's put this all back together now. Alright guys, here goes nothing. Keep your eye on that gauge. Alright guys, I believe we fixed it. That, I think, is the amount of gas I've got in my tank. I tried to run it low when Dad and I were dropping the tank so we wouldn't kill ourselves with a full tank of gas, but... Okay, so I just got gas. We'll see if this thing fills itself back up. Oh yeah. First time this gauge has ever worked since I've owned it. Yes! Yes! That is awesome. Also on the way here, I noticed that my blinkers now work. And they've never worked since I've owned this truck. You may notice that when we took this thing apart to begin with, there was a giant Pioneer goofy looking single DIN stereo in this thing. Well, the people who installed it were nice enough to just cut this bezel out, and so if you go to put in a new one, or I guess a new old one, whatever, it won't fit, and it looks terrible. So I just went ahead and spoiled myself and got a new one. So let's get that installed too. So I ordered what I thought was a 4-pack of screws like that, but what I ordered was a 1-pack. So I have 1 screw, and that's that one right there. So I'm gonna head to the hardware store now that I know exactly what the screw is supposed to be and get a few more of those. Hey, what do you think? This is the brand new one. It looks super nice. It's nice having the actual whole size in there. So whenever I get I'm gonna get one of the new like retrofitted ones where like it looks like the original but it has like Bluetooth and stuff, and then I'm gonna get rid of these ghetto speakers and actually get some new door cards as well and put good like Rockford Fosgate or something speakers in there. But my fuel gauge works, both my blinkers work, and I don't have this super annoying light right here on all the time anymore either, so I am stoked. All right, so it is a couple days later, and I've been driving the absolute snot out of this thing now that I actually know how much fuel I have, and I'm not scared to take it out on a drive. And one thing has really been getting on my nerves. So this was broken when I bought the truck, and it just kind of hangs down here and flops and just gets super annoying. Well, I went to pull this one out the other day and snapped it and broke it too. So, I'm got a couple of new sun visors and ordered them, and got some black ones instead of this weird, gross kind of cream color. Because I'm going to replace this headliner as well with black one. Here's the new ones. There's the new little mount thing for them. There's the, I don't know what you call that, but it sits on the end and it kind of holds it in place. There's the new arms for them, and then there's the thing that holds it to the truck. Well, there we go. Got two functional sun visors that are not hanging on by a thread. Looks a lot better. It's something that you guys will never see again probably, but it's gonna not annoy me every time I'm driving down the road and this thing's going. Plus, the black looks a lot better and blends in opposed to that horrible beige. But on the next thing. Okay guys, so this morning I just took and dropped the truck off at the transmission shop to hopefully fix what is the last major issue that I have on this truck, which is a leak coming from the transmission on the shift shaft seal. That has to be replaced, and I was going to do it myself, looked up the tutorial on how to do it, and it's like a 6-hour job from home, you know, and then there's a lot of stuff that has to be put in exactly right or you're just not going to be able to work at all. So hopefully if he's able to fix that, then that'll be the last leak that I have, and then we can start working on some more modifications and less repairs. So pretty excited about that. I'll let you guys know what happens. Okay, as you can tell, the truck is back. It's been about a week since I got it back from the transmission shop, and let me tell you a little story. So when I went and picked it up, the guy said, hey, there's about 1.5 quarts too much fluid in the transmission, which is weird because whenever I got the bolt that was snapped in half, you know, out of the transmission and put that thing back in, they obviously put all the fluid back in it. I drained all the excess out, drive it, and see if it still leaks. So for the first couple of days after I drove it, and it wasn't leaking at all. So I was like, awesome, he just drained the fluid and it fixed it. Well, it's been about a week, like I said, and here's what I'm looking at now. So if you can see that second little pile there toward the back, that is transmission fluid. It's leaking out of the same spot where that shift shaft seal is. Don't mind those first two. Those are tiny little oil leaks. I knew about those already. So what that means is one of two things. The seal went bad from having fluid leak out of it for so long that it, you know, the seal's shot and it just needs to be replaced. Two, there's something actually wrong with the transmission that is causing it to build up too much pressure, and it's pushing fluid out of the easiest path, which is that shift shaft seal. I will mention it's leaking nowhere near as bad as it was. It was really dumping fluid out of there before. And what's crazy is that if it had 1.5 quarts too much fluid in it, it had been leaking out for about 2 months prior to that. So there's no telling how much was actually put in there when I had this thing serviced at the other shop, you know, over what the correct amount would be. So I guess next steps are to call that transmission shop again and then have them try to replace that seal, and hopefully that will fix the problem. Okay guys, this afternoon we are doing a little install that I actually ordered the parts for about 1.5 months ago, and they just came in to make it to where my son can ride in the truck with me. So right now my truck only has 2 seat belts. It's got 1 shoulder belt here and 1 shoulder belt on the other side. So I have ordered from Seatbelt Planet the lap belt install kit. And so what you have to do for this thing is go under the truck. That one right there is the current receiver for the shoulder belt. And if you go right there, there's a spot where you can actually drill through that same little reinforced piece of steel through the floorboard of the truck, and you can drill, make a hole, and put in the new kit, and we're done. Looks a little something like that, and that's where the seatbelt buckle goes. So let's just knock this out real quick, and then my son and I can go for a ride. Are we driving in Dad-Dad's truck? Truck. Ooh, it is hot out here. Good thing we got the window down for some air conditioning. Are you warm? What do you think, bud? Is it cool? Can you see? Thanks so much, guys, for watching this episode of Rebuild It. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it was kind of a conglomeration of like a bunch of random clips that didn't really seem to go together. I've just been working on this thing when I have time, which is not as often as I would like it to be, with having a almost 2-year-old at home, and life gets busy, and I've been sick. I don't know if you can tell, my voice is kind of nasally and stuff, so that complicates things, and just having the time to come out here and work on it. And then I've kind of gotten, for the most part, other than that leak, which I mentioned earlier in the shift shaft seal, I haven't gotten that fixed yet, but that's gonna be the next thing. Other than that, there's not really anything on this truck that it like desperately needs in order to drive. I think one of the next big projects I want to do on this is I want to have Dad come back up again. I know I said that I was gonna work on this thing myself, but he's got a lot of the tools and especially knowledge that I don't have to pull the engine on this thing. And I've got about 4 or 5 oil leaks that I would like to get fixed, and so with just, you know, old gaskets that are getting worn out, I would like to get those done. And so Dad and I are going to do like a crazy 2 or 3 or 4 maybe days straight where we just come out here and, you know, bust this thing out, just buy everything ahead of time, have it all here, come pull the engine, swap all the gaskets, everything, put it back in the truck, and then, you know, make a cool video out of that. So that's the plan on this thing, and then maybe after that we could start doing some mods or whatever. And with that, it's time for our verse of the week, which is 1 Corinthians 13, 1-3, which says, "If I speak with the tongues of mankind and of angels but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and know all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith as to remove mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give away all my possessions to charity, and if I surrender my body as a martyr, but I do not have love, I have nothing." That is probably one of the more powerful verses in Scripture. It just talks about the excellence of love and the importance, and something I think that a lot of people, especially in the U.S., we use love as such kind of a buzzword. Like, it doesn't really, we just say, oh, I love pizza, or I love soda, or whatever. But I think the Bible is always a good thing that puts love in perspective of what it's supposed to be. And so with that, just want to thank you guys for watching this week's video. If you liked it, make sure you hit the like button down below. Make sure you get subscribed and turn on the bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads on this truck, which I'm sure will probably be another 6 months from now when I finally have time to work on it. But just thank you for watching, and see you next time. And always remember, don't retire it if you can rebuild it. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of Rebuild It. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any awesome content. Have a good one.